It's time to talk about the cinematic that happened.
The cinematic, yes.
Yeah.
Where once again, World of Warcraft debates all the gamers into getting the hots for a corpse. It's twice in a row now, man.
Yeah, it really is kind of
they're really good at that. Because remember, Xal'atath's body is the body of a high elf.
called Inanis.
Yes. And
which literally is Latin for void, which is not a reference to the VTuber because they got it from the same place.
They, her title was like, something of whispers. So pretty much it seems that what Xal'atath did is basically like shopped around. But like she clearly set up this character to be listening to the whispers. So yes, we're going to talk about the World Soul Saga and Dimensius and bunch of nerd shit. But more importantly, Xal'atath seems to have spent years manipulating her way to getting a desirable body.
Jailer 2. Yes.
Because like she literally, if you go back to that stuff in BFA, she clearly set up that character to be the person that you kill so she could nab the body. So yeah, that's just like how she does things. So even though Blizzard Entertainment once again want you to have the hots for a corpse, do remember she's actually a millions of year old, squiggly, scrungly, maybe fleshy, who knows, bizarre creature from Lovecraft's mind. Probably stands all the racism, though.
Hopefully she might say something a bit rude in the expansion. I doubt that.
But if you do want some of that, thankfully the new Arathi Empire seem to be a bunch of bastards. So...
Okay, now I'm sold. Hear me out. I can fix her. Works for me.
That's it.
Come on now.
World of Warcraft 12.0. Bash the fash.
Just full on two people going even better, one message apart. You know what? I like you guys. You're strong. You're smart. You're smart. Stop. You had me at fleshy. I was there at squiggly. Scrungly, not a big fan of, but squiggly,
yeah,
fleshy.
Scrungly is just one of those. It's the scrungly tendrils just kind of tickle your back and make you feel uncomfortable.
What is Xal'atath's dog's name? I guess we'll find out.
So that is to say, Xal'atath, bit of a creepy, strange, crawly creature. Anyway, she monologues, mostly passing commentary over a montage of World of Warcraft cinematics, probably upscaled to be better quality. What I did enjoy is seeing the technical prowess of Blizzard's team increase, like, throughout the cinematic.
Yeah, that's fun.
I mean, obviously that's not like the narrative, I just thought it looked cool. Anyway, the basic thing that we see is the World Soul starting off as a tiny, faint little flicker. There it is. A faint gold flicker, and as time goes on and we get up to all sorts of business, it begins to get all blue and glowy. Now,
looks like a sun.
Is that blue? Is that sort of purple?
It's blue.
Because you do see that coming out of it. Maybe reminds you of Azerite, but you have that like darker purple swirling in. That darker purple swirling in is happening after the cutaway to the more swirly version is after Legion, BFA, and Shadowlands have happened. So what we know happens there is the jailer, Zoval, the Chuckler, chucks a bunch of energy through the Forge of Souls into Azeroth, and who knows what that does? Does it wake her up a bit more? Kind of hard to say, but the point here is, it's waking up. But now that it has sort of woken up more significantly, it is also being barraged by lovely void stuff. Gotta say, very nice.
Someone's lit a crazy purple blunt right beside her, like.
Yeah, very nice visuals.
Someone's hotboxing the World Soul.
I definitely thought
it's very nice. Like,
what plugins beautiful. Did you use for that? That looks really cool.
It is beautiful. They do some excellent work.
So
very evocative too, considering the amount of it. It is all encompassing.
Yeah, strong music, strong music, animations, all like really well timed, just really well executed. Now, the bit that's fun is we see high quality versions of lots of different characters.
That we do. We see.
So
Xal'atath.
there she is. Gotta say,
just like we're gonna flex our lighting.
She's looking more corpsey.
She's looking a little bit more corpsey.
Yeah, it doesn't normally look that corpsey in the in-game portrayal. So, I mean, to a few people, as they've already said in our chat, they'll be very, very enthusiastic about that. Cool sound effects. I love the void balls, like the void ball sound effect, really good. Yeah, Blizzard actually really, really good at sound. Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking of Holondrus again. Anyway, we then see James Cameron's Forest People.
We do, and this was the bit where I kind of soy-faced slightly. I was like, hell yeah, look at that.
So,
it's so in it. This is some Avatar shit.
I have a theory.
Literally, but it looks cool. Also, your poor spine, jeez-o.
No, that's health. You seen Karakos Grizzly?
That's true, yeah.
That's flexibility, man. So
that's true, yeah, but if I go slightly past that, I feel pain, so...
we are unfortunately both wild stiff. So, for her and this, I've seen... I hate to invoke this word, man. Discourse.
Not dreaded discourse.
I have seen discourse on X.com.
Oh, yeah, that's
shocking news.
That's a very good point.
Some people have said...
For free? Unbelievable.
Incredible.
I fucking hate people online. Anyway. Yes, you're saying discourse about...
This is finally a Tarantino-compatible World of Warcraft.
That's a discourse I've seen. I don't know about you, saw.
Basically, there's been confusion about trolls, right? And that that's kind of related to Dragonflight. We were supposed to get primal trolls in Dragonflight, and they sort of didn't do that.
Yeah, they did the Jarden instead.
Yeah, so with this, my thought is, right, trolls, and I mean, it is sort of the same theme as with these world souls, where it's like you have a world soul, ram it full of death, turns into an Argus, ram it full of order. Maybe Azeroth wakes up and says, oh, Aman'Thul, God, you're just great. I think you're fantastic. You're just class. Which is clear what they all want to do. With trolls go near Well of Eternity. They suck up all the arcane juice, turn into night elves. Haranir, these have only been seen down this big hole. Down this big hole with the roots of Elune here, which is in the game's canon. The tree of all trees. The first tree. The big tree of life.
The first ones of trees.
It is the Optimus Prime of trees. I can
never remember what the voice actor's called, but if it's trying to sound like that, yeah.
It is just the big tree of all tree. Now, what if troll plus lifey energy from the tree morphs you slowly over generations into one of those?
Counterpoint, they told us to not think about singular forces anymore. In the thing we talked about at length last week, like lunatics. We're like, yeah, it was to hell with all of that. Multiple cosmology forces, shut up. Don't want it.
I put it far less that and far more just don't think
about it.
Far more the lore of how night elves were formed from trolls.
Yeah, so
I think it's basically like that, but it's a different branch. So I don't think this is a midpoint between modern troll and... I don't think this is a midpoint between troll and night elf. I think this is another branch. This is...
how to put this? Imagine Arathi, but they don't have a home base. Kind of in the sense that there's these people who became these different things because they were over to a different society. These were clearly Haranir. They're these special things plucked from, because there's not like there's a huge amount of them anyway, right?
Yeah.
At least as far as I understand, there's only a decent handful of them, and they're very, very rigid in their edicts. So obviously the whole point is they were handpicked trolls to go here. We need you to defend this tree roots. Would you do that job for us? Cheers, thank you. And either imbued with something or they're imbued over time. I'm sure we'll find out, but they obviously are like very druidic, but they are druidic in more trollish ways, in the sense that they have the bat form is their like flight form model. Because one of the introductory quests to them is, you've seen them before, but you'll actually see a little bit of... Will it be spoilers now? Not really. I'll announce any like major spoilers. But like they have the bat flight form basically.
Yeah.
That's all I'll really say to that. So that's kind of that. Blizzard is allergic to making anything aesthetically pleasing. Now, I'm gonna disagree because I think that looks cool as shit. Realistically, I kind of know where you're coming from, but I do think that's actually very, very cool. I like that they look this way. Same with the Arathi. The Arathi look fantastic.
I'm so confused. You like this, but you also like Stellar Blade. How does it make sense?
I just have enough room in my brain for multiple opinions.
Oh, he's very...
It's incredible. Yeah.
Farron,
yeah,
in all of her very
this could be. This is
very high quality rendering.
Yeah, I really, really love that cloak, that cape. I really like that. That's such a, like, this kind of looks like, I will say it does look like it's a Diablo 4 cinematic.
Oh,
To be honest, it really does.
Yeah, oh, that looks like a Crusader.
Yeah.
I mean,
even the off-white coloring is very Diablo in like that sense.
It
which is
basically
beautiful.
is a Crusader.
Which is beautiful. Yeah.
No, don't think about hero classes. And our Earthen, who look cool. Just down a little bit in the dock.
Oh no. Wherefore?
Yeah, no, up.
Yeah.
It's the quality, man. That renders incredible.
I don't like how the Earthen look that much in game, but generally I'm not a fan of dwarves. I'm generally not a fan of like the blocky look anyway. If you show me a character model, I would like rather have something like an orc or an elf or something along those lines a lot of the time. Maybe a gnome sometimes, but like generally like dwarves kind of are in the middle of like, whatever. But this actual render, I was like, fuck, that guy looks sick.
Yeah.
That guy looks cool as hell. Like obviously like the kind of coppery beard got on and stuff. The actual like, they really did dig into it. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, cinematics team did work.
Right. Yeah. And this bit was fucking sick. I mean, obviously it's a little bit, person strong, hold down chain, but I was like, yeah, I'm super down for this.
Fucking heave ho, yeah.
I'm super down for this. Like, just the whole coloration and everything for shiny.
I do, do sort of notice.
Hole.
Oh yes, going into Ashgahat. So, a thing. Mm-hmm. They've made a lot of very high quality.
Yeah, for approximately 3 seconds apiece.
3 seconds apiece, and this cinematic is mostly comprised of old footage. It's also called the release date cinematic. So I think absolutely they will have some sort of big cinematic later.
Yeah, obviously. That was literally my first thought. I was like, oh, is this like a weird kind of catch-all, whatever? I was like, oh no, this is a full War Within cinematic. Because I initially thought it was going to be a World of Warcraft is on Xbox, not the console on the platform kind of thing. I was like, okay, interesting. That's kind of weird to drop now. But then they just kind of went, it's the War Within. I was like, oh, they just wanted to save a load of time, which means we're going to get another one, which will be very, very nice. Which will be very, very, very nice. The last thing I think that was important about this, and I'm sure, there'll be a cinematic breakdown all across the things, but the world soul so long denied me shall be mine. There's a wee typo in there. Fix that. The world soul so long denied me shall be mine. I'm like, so long denied me? Does this imply that you have made attempts on it before? Or have you just been seething wanting it for a long time? Also, why do you want it specifically more than other people? Are you interesting? You are not what you seem or have ever made yourself out to be.
Yeah, lady. Also...
That's kind of scary.
The way she enunciates mine, I think, is interesting.
What does she just say it like?
It just seemed really personal.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Which made it sound less like I'm getting this for my boss and more, give me the big power, give me the juice, please.
Well, obviously she's very personalist. Obviously she's not doing things for other people.
Yeah, so do you think she is Harbinger of Demencius or something like that? Or do you think she's actually kind of working her own angle and all this?
Oh, she's clearly working her own angle. Like, she would have said ours, but she said mine. Yeah. And that's exactly the difference. And they wanted to sell her as a villain of her own angle, as opposed to some harbinger of the void, in the same sense that she had her little thing about Elune. She clearly has a lot of history here, a lot of history in Azeroth before anything else. She was thrown out of the Black Empire in some capacity, which obviously goes to show, or bound in the blade rather, which goes to show that she in that blade she still had the ability to do all these other things, which leaves us in this really interesting place of she's never really claimed to be working for someone else. She's always kind of been her own force.
Although we do have the Void Staff.
Yeah, that's all we've got.
But that's old.
Yeah, that's all we've got realistically. Maybe she's changed her tune in her time in solitude or in seclusion or in the blade or whatever else.
Yeah.
Maybe that's even what happened. Maybe she was being an upstart and they launched her in the blade, went, no. That's why she doesn't have that staff.
There is also that.
She doesn't have it.
Yeah, we have it.
Yeah, which is interesting.
How much do we really read into that, given, it was a trading post thing?
Ashara 2.0. There's definitely Ashara 2.0 vibes here, absolutely, in the way that they like played off against each other a little bit, not directly, but in kind of like they were similar sides of the coin in BFA. So I'm assuming like one of the things I've been looking forward to the most narratively is a showdown between Ashara and whatever of Xal'atath, whatever state she's in at Midnight. Because obviously Midnight's going to unite the Elven tribes. Okay. The Naga are a long lost Elven tribe. So obviously they're going to be part of that in some capacity. Especially because they were relevant recently with the pirates in Dragonflight and the Forbidden Reach. So obviously there's stuff like that going on. And that'll be part of it. So I'm interested in seeing if they'll expand on the history of So Long Denied Me, because there is going to be a huge amount of that extreme Black Empire history that we don't know about that we'll see, which I think will be very, very, very fun. And you're right on that when it comes to like the Naru being, they have their own agendas, and like we're moving away from the ideas that we had and sort of did a little bit with the Jailer slightly, of like death being like, oh well, death forces are all aligned, etc., etc., etc. It's not like the light is bad and coming for us. It's the Naru are these things with agendas. Like as an example of that, actually, that I thought about was, the way the Belladar is the big crystal thing, and the Belladar sounds like Exodar, sounds like Genadar. Yeah. What was the power behind the interdimensional ships? Naru in there. The Belladar looks pretty big. It seems more powerful than any of the other ships we've seen so far, which then we sit down and go, that's really interesting. That's a big one. Does that mean there's more than one Naru in there? Oh, are there multiple Naru in there?
Maybe 5 from the Vision.
Are there maybe 5 from the Vision of that Merildar had? Merildar, also the name of the city, by the way. That's interesting. And what's below Belladar, where it's hanging above somewhat precariously? The ocean, where there's a load of old god creatures and fish and stuff. It's really scary all the time. Cool. Oh, the Naru are in there and they're trapped and they don't want to fall, because if they fall into the ocean, they'll be destroyed and eaten. And then you think of the mural with the old god thing grabbing the crystal and you go, interesting. All that to say that I think that they're going to try
that's not history, it's prophecy.
It could be both. It could be either. Yeah. It could be both and either, because you're often the same. But the way that kind of works in my head then is that they're trying to characterize the antagonists and protagonists of these forces, instead of us thinking about them being forces sort of stuff, more or less. I wish they would show Zal actually doing something other than staring into the camera. She's not a real threat right now. Right. Please tune in for The War Within expansion, in which things happen. Well,
it's also,
believe it or not, the villain is in that expansion doing villain things.
She does stuff in Darkheart.
Not really. Not really anything of note. Like,
the things will happen. The things will happen here.
Yeah, being real, I don't really care about Azeroth as a character. That is one thing that I think they need to be careful of, because they'll obviously know they can't just go full Heidelin, right? Mm-hmm. They know they can't do that, because everyone will go, what are you doing? You're ready doing the planet talking to us. Sort yourself out. I think they have work to do with that whenever she actually does, whenever character is added to this Radiant song, there needs to be a little bit more of that, I think, realistically. Yeah, no shit, but another expansion, you get an idea of why the villain matters. Yeah, we've been told the villain matters. There's all of her history, and also that things are going to happen very quickly in the expansion, in the same way that I will say that they definitely are relying a little bit on you should probably know who this person is, but there's obviously the point of, they're really super they're relying on you knowing her history to understand how much of a threat she is, which is even the stuff they did again with her previous wielders being there as rare NPCs in the Darkheart stuff. It's just a little bit that's not super well. It's not super well communicated to players. So there's clearly a lot there, but they do open pretty. They could have probably done more with Darkheart, but you can't do a huge event in your epilogue, because then that requires game changing, and then that also gives you a huge couple months period before you do something. I think which is the problem.
Tricky is that they do have a lot of great things to work with. It's just can they stick the landing with, like, most importantly, with how they develop the game. FF14, in terms of its production, from what we understand anyway, has got a relatively small and focused writing team. Yeah. At least for, sort of writing core linear narrative and, stuff's woven around that. bit more tricky with how WoW campaigns are done. Right? Bit more tricky with how the game is developed.
That's for sure.
So, yeah, like, there's a lot of really, really good material. Which FF14 had. It's just that FF14 did the execution really well. And I think for these things to land, especially Azeroth as a character, we would need to see better narrative execution than we've seen in the last decade from WoW.
Yeah, there's a lot of caring about Azeroth as like the planet we live on, but
Yeah.
bridging the gap to be a character is
Like
interesting.
they can do lots of great, great songs, great transmedia narrative things, great cinematics. But the bit that's always been the most fragmented is the telling of the story within the game. So if they want to land Azeroth as a character, that's the bit that needs to be radically better.
So we did get a super there from Dead Bob.
Oh, thank
saying, I am convinced that Zal is actually a Void Lord herself. She bet on the future she saw where Sargeras and Jill are lost and just waited for it to happen. That seems to be largely, like, I imagine they'll maybe downplay the she was there waiting in the wings for all of time and sorted everything out and this was all of her kind of thing. They'll need to make her, and I think we talked about this with the Jailer as well so many months and years ago now. But him being positioned as a mastermind is where they went wrong.
Yes.
Because it was like, oh, well, he did everything, so none of it mattered. All of it was preordained to be whatever he wanted.
Yeah, the answer was just he knew because he was a genius.
Yeah, the thing we wanted to, the thing we suggested that would have been an improvement was to position him as an opportunist. As a, I've been watching this and I have found an opportunity and now it's time to strike.
And it was really funny because, like, across, our interpretation of it, Taliesin's interpretation, a few others, we were all kind of, we had this version of it that made sense. And then I think in Zereth Mortis, whatever the, like, was it dialogue or dungeon journal text? But it was completely just, nope, he's planned this for millennia. Fuck you, he's a genius. And then for the rest, we're like, oh, come on. Really? We're trying to salvage this for you.
We're trying to fix your
Why do you
game.
have to do it, bro?
Yeah, so I think they'll probably set her up as somewhere in the middle and a little bit being more, I've been watching and I've been waiting and now is my time. Now is my time. I've had a few things waiting in the wings. I've set myself up a little bit, but I haven't done literally everything to orchestrate this moment, which is struggling because it is the kind of the problem. So yeah, it's theorized she's a fifth old god. I don't think she's a fifth old god. I think she's something different or something more out there. She could be, but I feel like that would be a little bit old hat in a way. Because
also,
it would be unlike,
she's a creature. She's a creature. We don't really know what any of these things actually are.
Yeah.
Maybe she slurps up Azeroth and that makes her a Void Lord. We don't really know.
Yeah. So I like that. And there's also an idea where someone said she's like the Void infused Koresh world soul woken up. That would be interesting.
What
Obviously,
happened with Koresh?
The whole point was Dementius devoured it. That was the whole idea.
Yeah.
And destroyed it. So that it would take a lot of work to make that retroactively make sense with how they've described it historically, because Koresh is basically dead and gone. So it'll be very interesting to see if I think that would be an interesting way for it to go. I don't think it will, but I do like that, she is whatever remnant, whatever void, and whatever's left of Koresh, and obviously powerless and mostly devoured by Dementius, then going around and trying to go and reclaim another world soul to become big and like to regain herself and take over. Something like that would be kind of cool. There is a question, because there was, who's that? Yeah, saying if she was Koresh, Locust Walker wouldn't scare her off. I guess that's the thing where having a character who has knowledge it makes this a bit difficult, because Locust Walker could easily turn around and be like, she was the thing of she.
Yeah, you can just turn around and say, sorry, all your theories are wrong.
Yeah,
it's this.
She was the remnant of Koresh. The dark remnant of Koresh that managed to escape and now she seeks vengeance. Something like that would be interesting. She seeks vengeance, but she's been corrupted by it, all that kind of good stuff. That would be interesting enough, but that's a good point of Locust Walker would probably tell us that instead of going,
so
it's just Xal'atath.
We don't, like... I wonder how they'll grow her motivations. Because primarily we know she wants this power for some reason, and she's almost certainly been wronged in the past.
Yeah.
But they're going to need to fill in more info there. so that we can actually understand what drives her.
I'm sure we'll get it.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll get it, and just through.
Just please be in a patch, not a book.
Yeah, please be in the game. In the game would be nice.
Yeah.
I'd be
Because
terribly
I
worried
don't
if they
think
don't.
we'll be getting it from the A plot of just
Not the
bandying
level,
about
not the level up
zones.
story. No,
Yeah, yeah.
not the level up story. Do you think Xal'atath will be the final boss of War Within, or will she make it to midnight? I'm assuming she'll make it to midnight, if not the last Titan, because if she's this like great void threat and then she turns around and is dead before the final battle of Light and Void, I would be a little bit concerned. Also because like they're kind of building. I hope they don't just like kick her into the trash can and say, off you go, we don't need you anymore. It'd be substantially nicer to have it longer, especially with like that's a good point with her talking about Loon and stuff. Between her being popular and her having a lot of knowledge, it'd be very nice to have her around to explain things in some capacity. That'll be very, very nice.
Yeah, no, like I think she's a character. She's got a great visual and vocal, presentation. Like she's a really good character to have in your narrative toolbox. And, Sylvanas was that for such a long time, but they really ruined that. So I just don't think they're going to throw her away that quickly. No way. Which is good, because rather than being the purple lady who fights for Team Purple, it does actually seem she's a character with her own desires and motives, which is, I think, a hell of a lot better. Again, there's a clip up of it. I think I actually took off a little bit from our chat last week about... was it last week or the week before? That was last Monday, yeah. It was, we were talking about the cosmology chart from the Arathi. And the point is basically, this is so arcane, confusing, that don't worry about it. Don't worry about those details. It's about characters and characters doing things and that having an impact on the world. I think that was the message. It felt like a document that was so clearly meta and so clearly not what some of the Shadowlands stuff felt like. So I think they've done that on purpose. Of course, if you want all of that stuff, just go watch Esoterica. It's a really good YouTube channel. All that kind of thing.